Hey guys, today we're going to look at the difference between active insufficiency and passive insufficiency. Let's go. Okay, so for active insufficiency, it's about muscle weakness due to the muscle being too short or too long, and it has to cross two or more joints. So if you can't tell, this is actin and myosin, the cross bridge is forming, and the muscle can only produce force if the myosin heads can attach to the actin and crank on it. And so in this first one, we have an ideal length where all of the cross bridges can form, and so that's when the muscle can be strong. And then in letter B, we have the muscle sarcomeres are too short to where they can't get any shorter, so then there's decreased strength that way. And then here, the muscle's too stretched out, and the sarcomere is too stretched out, and only a couple of the myosin heads can create a cross bridge. So for example, if you take the flexors of your hand, like flexor digitorum profundus and superficialis, and you shorten them all the way, because you're crossing them over all these joints through here, it's like 6 or 7 joints that you cross, fully shorten them, and you try and break through, it's super easy. And then even if I try as hard as I can still break through it. And then if you go to this ideal length, letter A, by extending the wrist a little bit, now it's really, really hard to break through, and I can't do it. So that example can be applied to this guy laying down. For his hamstrings, these muscles, hamstrings in the back, because they cross the hip joint and the knee joint. When you fully lengthen him and bring him all the way up, then if he were to try and drive his leg down, and if I was to try and hold his leg up, keep it up there, he'll be a lot weaker at this top one than if he was somewhere in the middle range, because then he would be at that ideal length and not at this fully stretched length. And then passive insufficiency is too much passive tension, and therefore there's decreased range of motion. And this is the same on both. The muscle needs to cross 2 or more joints in order to have an impact and be so short that it can't go through range of motion. So for this example, we'll look at the hamstrings again. He's upset because his hamstrings are so tight that when we try and bring him up, he doesn't get the full range of motion. So it can be applied there in the hamstrings, or even the opposite way if we were to bend his knee and he couldn't get through the full range because his quads were too tight, then that would be an example of passive insufficiency. So active insufficiency, it's about muscle strength or weakness. So muscle strength is at this ideal length. Muscle weakness is if it's too short or too long. It decreases the force because you decrease the amount of cross bridges that can form. Passive insufficiency is about too much passive tension on the antagonist side, and then you get a decreased range of motion because of it. And they're the exact same in that for both examples, they need to cross 2 or more joints.